Hey guys, in this video, let's go ahead and try to make a cartoon game book, something that looks like this. All right, so I'm gonna grab my box here, and holding down the Shift key, I'm gonna drag a box right on top of my grid. Under Create Polygon Primitives, my interactive creation is on. And that is the reason why I'm dragging my shapes instead of them just appearing when I click on them. So if you turn on your interactive creation, you will have the same kind of experience. You just have to kind of hold shift and just drag your shape. So the very first thing I want to create is kind of the shape of my book. So maybe something like, let's make it kind of large. No reason to go small. Let's make it a little larger, and maybe it's a little bit longer. So I think this is something like this should work. And now if we wanted to, we can also let's go into our top view holding the X key. Let's just make sure that we snap it right in the middle so it's centered. And there's the line right here of the ground floor, so I'm going to put it on the floor. Just like that. Let's press hover and press spacebar to go back into this view. All right, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my wireframe unshaded. And let's go ahead and grab this and this. And let's go ahead and extrude this. So I'm going to extrude this up, kind of just trying to decide on the thickness of maybe the cover of the book. All right, so next let's go ahead and grab this and this. And what I would like to do is press the delete key. Let's go ahead and remove these. And next I'm going to double click to select this whole loop. And then holding down the Shift key, I'm going to double click and select the bottom loop. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this button here called Bridge. And when you first press it, it looks terrible. But if we add more divisions, let's just give ourselves a lot of divisions. I'm going to give myself 8. And in the curve type, I'm going to switch to bend. And you can see that this creates kind of a cool looking back of maybe what an old book would look like. And I think that's really, really cool. And of course, you can decide how many divisions you want. So do as many as you want. Let's go with maybe 10 so it doesn't look too choppy. And that looks pretty good. Another thing that we could do is, of course, click on this, hold on the Shift and double click. And then we can come to, let's grab our Move tool. Turn the soft select on, and let's go ahead and change our volume fall off radius to something much smaller, maybe a 1. And what I'm going to do next is just simply pull this in so it's a little tighter, so it's not so far away. We can also grab this guy here, press B to turn off soft selection, and maybe play with the idea of moving this closer a little bit. Now if you do move it closer, make sure you don't overlap this geometry, right? You want to make sure that you don't do that. And I'm okay with having a little space there. I think that's actually kind of cool for kind of a book look. And we're going to add a bunch of pages in a minute, but from far away this looks pretty cool. All right, so another thing that we could do is maybe let's grab some of these edges. I'm going to grab, holding down the Shift key, I'm going to select all of these, just like that. And what I would like to do next is bevel it. I'm going to click on Bevel. I'm going to change my fraction to something really small, like 0.1. And I'm going to give myself another segment in the middle, and maybe 0.1 is a little too small. How about 0.2? Yeah, 0.2 is what I want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on the inside edges going all the way around, just like this. And now let's grab a scale tool, and instead of just pressing scale, let's go ahead and go to edit mesh and click on transform. Then click on one of the scale boxes outside, and then grab this middle blue one and just pull it in just a little bit. And as you can see, it's creating kind of a cool little ridges in the binder in the back of the book, right? Now, some of the faces began to kind of change color, and that's because the face normals changed their direction. So to fix this, we can always go to mesh display, and let's click on set to face, just so we can see this a little better. And when we're ready, we can always change the normals, but for the time being, I would like to set it to face so I can see exactly what the topology looks like. Okay, and another thing we could do is let's turn this button on right here called screen space occlusion, and that will give us nice shadows. And if we wanted to, we can also maybe crank them up a little bit. Let's check it out. Go to ambient occlusion and maybe turn this up a little, change the radius so there's like a little shadow in there. So give us a better understanding of how it might look with textures or lighting, right? All right, I'm gonna close this and let's take a look. All right, so next what I would like to do is scale in some of these pages here. So I'm gonna grab this entire box, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on this button here called extract. So as soon as I press on it and go into the object mode, I can now select the middle part. And as you can see, if I pull this out, I'm pulling out just the inner box, right? Because I separated it from the rest. So I'm gonna do Control Z and put my box back. And let's go ahead and actually select just the cover and isolate it. And the reason, and I'm actually gonna turn off my grid as well. Okay. And what I would like to do next is let's go ahead and double click on this edge here and do a bridge. And go ahead and double click on the one on top and press G to repeat the command so that top is covered as well. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to separate my pages from the actual cover, just in case this model ever needs to open the front page. Maybe like, in the beginning when the tail starts, the first page opens up, and this would be cool effect. So let's kind of build that in. So let's separate the pages and the cover. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to click on the isolate button, and I really want my pages to be inset a little more. So I'm going to simply, there's a few different ways we can do this, but let's just simply go into the top view, turn on our X-ray, and now if we actually just select the cover and then go to the channel box, we can click on this button to create a new layer and set that layer as a reference so we don't accidentally select it. Now if we click on it again, we can see that we just selected the pages, the inside part, right? And now in this view, what I could do is I can grab these points here and just scale them in just a little bit. And I don't want my snapping on, but I'm just going to pull them in just like this, so you can see in the perspective view that it's giving this cool look of kind of an inset. And now what I'm going to do is grab all of these points here and just pull that in as well. So just like this. Let's go into the object mode and take a look. I think that is really nice. And next, let's go ahead and add maybe some actual pages to this, so it looks like there is more. Of course we could do this with textures in the normal map, but maybe it would be interesting to create some geometry here instead. So to do this, I'm going to select my inner pages and go to Mesh Tools and do Insert Edge Loops and go to Options. And now under Multiple Edge Loops, let's go ahead and let's do a lot of them, maybe like, I'm thinking 30. And I'm just going to click on this corner here, just like this, and take a look and see what that looks like. I think 30 might be a little too much. Let's try 25, because I'm kind of going for a cartoony, thick pages look. And I'm actually happy with this. I think this should work. All right. So you can decide how many pages you want on your end. But another thing that I would like to do is now mess these up a little bit so they don't look so even, right? So I'm just going to kind of grab maybe each one. Let's go ahead and just select maybe every other one. And I can even grab this one. All right. And now what I'd like to do is press extrude and push them in just a little bit. All right, so now we have something like this. And the next thing we need to do is maybe mess it up even more so they're not exactly the same length. So maybe one thing we could do is go into our side view here. And in this view, let's go ahead and hide the cover for a minute. And let's go ahead and just make some of these maybe different length. So maybe this one is a little longer. And I'm kind of okay with them not being, in a perfect line. Because kind of if you look at the old book, they're usually looks like it's been cut with with some kind of a manual process, so it never looks even. So that something like this, I think, creates a better illusion of more kind of an organic look of the book. So again, this is just an artistic preference. So what I would like to do next is maybe do the same thing on these edges here. So let's go ahead and grab, let's do it from the side here. So what I'm going to do next is go in the side view. I'm going to turn off my cover and do exactly the same thing, kind of roughen these up a little bit. So I'm just going to grab maybe these, and I suppose we can do them at the same time. Let's select both of them and just use a scale and just kind of scale it out a little. And just very quickly go through and kind of maybe you can skip one. They don't need to be perfect. We can maybe scale this one in. And I'll just do one more. And this one will go out a little bit. All right. Now let's go back into the perspective look and take a look. Perspective view. I'm going to unhide my cover, and yeah, I'm pretty happy. This is kind of what I was going for. I really wanted to make it look like there's there's many different pages. But if you look at the actual topology of the entire model, it's actually still really low. We only have 326 faces and only 650 tries. So it's relatively low poly still. Okay. So the next thing we can do is maybe add some design to the cover. Let's do some more. Let's make sure that we're not in reference mode, and let's go ahead and, if we wanted to, we can click on the pages and add a layer to that as well. And of course, it's good practice to maybe name these. So these could be pages. Say save. This could be book cover. I'm going to say save. All right. So let's go ahead and add some design to this, and I'm going to hide my pages. And for me to add some kind of a design, maybe on the corners here, I do need more edges, right? I need more topology. So I'm going to go into Insert Edge Loop. Let's click on Options, and let's do a relative and just kind of add one here. And I want to make sure that my edge flow is not on, so I'm going to add one here. I'm going to add one here. Don't worry about the distance. We're going to straighten these out in a second. I just want to create some topology that I could use. And something like that should work. Okay. I think that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and go into the top view. And now in the top view, what we can do is we can switch to vertex mode, select our points, make sure we go in the scale, and let's just scale this in just like this, kind of making sure that all of these points and all of these are in line or straight. And if we wanted to make sure that this line is the same distance as this, right? That's pretty easy. Let's go ahead and grab these points too. And what I'd like to do is straighten these also, just using the scale. So I'm going to grab this, hold down the X key, and I'm going to snap it to the grid right there. I'm going to do the same thing here, hold down the X key and snap it to the grid. And let's go ahead and repeat the same in this view. All right, now I know these are exactly the same, so that means if I unhide my pages and grab the entire book, I can now scale these in, but I do know that these are exactly the same distance, right? Because they've been aligned to the grid. So that's a cool little trick. All right, let's go back into this view, and now we have this extra geometry that we can extrude and play with, right? So let's go ahead and go into a face mode. I'm gonna grab this guy and maybe all of these faces too, all the way around, just like that. And let's go ahead and extrude them out. So I'm gonna press extrude and just pull them out. And as you're pulling them out, I know the extrusion is kind of wonky because we didn't select it symmetrically, right? We just selected it from, just three sides. And that is not a problem because we can quickly fix that by, let's go ahead and jump into the top view, and I'm going to grab these points here and just scale them. I'm going to switch to world view and just kind of scale them in just like that. Let's go ahead and do that on both sides. All right, that looks good. Let's go ahead and check this out. I also need to do it in this view as well. Maybe let's go ahead and isolate this, go into this view and just kind of flatten these out. So I want to make sure that the tops and bottoms are completely flat. All right, so scaling comes handy in this situation. Let's take a look. Yeah, I think that looks really nice. Another thing we could do maybe is let's grab maybe this, and let's go ahead and extrude this down. Just inset this a little bit, creating even more detail. And at this point, it's going to become more into personal decoration. If this was like a pirate book, it would be really awesome to put like a huge skull here. If it was a magic book, maybe a huge gem would look really good here. And if we wanted to, we can add some gems or some things in here that look like gems. Maybe let's go ahead and make this live and grab, I don't know, let's just grab a box, and I'm just gonna, holding down the shift key, I'm gonna make a box that looks like this. Now I can go to mesh and do a smooth, and maybe let's go just maybe one division, because I kind of want to make it look angular, so it looks like a gem or a diamond. I think, again, this is now, it just becomes more artistic and a little less technical, right? I'm gonna make sure that I'm out of my live mode here, and now let's maybe delete the bottom part of our little gem here, and let's go ahead and put it in position. So something like that. Maybe we can actually make it a little more interesting. I'm thinking of grabbing these. Let's extrude them out, and that's pretty cool. We can also extrude this again, maybe pushing it down a little bit. And if you wanted to, maybe it's a little too high, maybe we can squish this down. All right, so maybe this could be like a, this could be like a metal ring with a nice diamond inside of it. Let's go ahead and jump into the top view. I'm gonna jump out of the X-ray mode, maybe turn on my wireframe, and I just want to make sure that this is nice and even. We can press Control D and just drag another one over here. I think that looks really nice. We can also, of course, put the same thing on the other side. It depends how it's going to be seen or what it's going to be used for. But to put it on the other side, we could always combine them. We can do Control D. We can drag them down there. We can go to our channel box and maybe scale them on Y. Just do a -1 to flip them. And now we can just kind of put them in position. So that's another way of doing it. So now they're on both sides. And let's see, what else can we do? So maybe we can add some kind of a fun design to the front here. I'm not really sure exactly, to be honest, what we could do really quick. Maybe make it, let's make it live again and grab something like a box. Maybe scale it in. I'm just kind of having fun at this point. Maybe go to the top view. Let's press the, I actually don't want my book to be live. I'm gonna press maybe, let's see, let's hold down the X key. Let's find the center. So here's the center. So maybe somewhere over here I can do some kind of a design of some sort. Let's go into my perspective view. So now one thing we could do is just maybe go to mesh. No, I mean edit mesh, and do, let's add divisions. I can click on options and we can do, let's try 2. I'm happy with 2. Let's see what we can do with 2. So maybe let's go into the top view, switch to verts mode, and just some kind of a design, some kind of artistic. So maybe this, something like that. Maybe let's grab all of these points and just scale them. I can grab some of these faces And maybe let's extrude this up. Maybe push it in. I'm going to do another extrusion. Then maybe push it down. All right. I think that looks really cool. So it just gives it a little more of a finished touch. And of course we can keep adding more details, but another thing that we could do is we can add like maybe a bookmark sticking out from the inside of the book, and maybe that could be the last detail that we will do in this exercise. So let's go ahead and turn our grid back on, and I'm going to grab a box, just draw a box, and let's see if we can quickly turn it into some kind of a bookmark. Maybe something like that. I can of course just use my edges. I'm going to say multiple. Let's do like 10. Okay. Maybe my bookmark is a little too thick. I'm going to scale it in. And I'm going to make sure that I'm in object mode. And of course, if we wanted to, we can also change the way it's looking and the way it's bent, right? So I believe the fastest way would just be to, let's go ahead and put it in position. Maybe it's sticking out from one of the pages, right? So maybe someone is reading something, and I'm going to try to put it in the part where it's kind of pushed in a little. So maybe like here. And let's go ahead and see if we can just maybe bend this down like it's, you know, the gravity, right? Maybe the fastest way to do that would be to go to deform, nonlinear, and actually no, let's use a lettuce. I'm gonna go to options here, and I'm still set to 4 and 4 from my last tutorial, so that's fine. I'm gonna actually say create, and then switch to lettuce points. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull these down. And let's go into kind of this side view and see if we can just maybe create kind of a bend, a fun bend that looks somewhat natural of what the bookmark might look like. So it's kind of coming out of the thing here kind of straight, and then it drops down and kind of folds in. All right, let's take a look and see what that looks like. I think that looks really cool. Another thing we can do is maybe, now I'm done bending it, so I'm actually going to go to Edit, Delete by Type History. And let's go ahead and do, let's insert another edge, and maybe let's do like 3. All right. Now if I go to the top view here, maybe I can grab some of, let's go into vertex mode, and maybe let's pull some of these in, and then pull this in, and create kind of a fun looking bookmark. All right. So there you are. I think, let's make sure this is actually laying on the top of that book. I hope you had fun modeling this cool looking book, and I will see you in the next video. Maybe we can also, in our next video, take the time to do UVs and bring this into Substance Painter and do some painting. Another thing that I would do that you guys maybe want to do is get rid of some of these sharp edges, you know, like all these guys here. Maybe they could be beveled. That might look actually a little bit nicer. And before I press stop, I'm actually going to do that. I'm just having way too much fun as you can tell, let's just go ahead and bevel all of these and these. And you know what? I'm actually going to grab these as well. The inner ones too. So all of these, I think, is what I'm looking for. And this one as well. All right, let's see. I hope I didn't miss any, but I think that looks good. And now if I do bevel, I think that looks really nice. Instead of a 0.5, maybe this should be like 0.3. And as you can tell, it just adds a little softer look, so it's not so harsh. All right. And one more other thing that we could do, of course, as I'm looking at this, is just my mind's going crazy with other fun details. We can do like a little chip. You know, you can create like a little chip, like the book has been banged up a little bit. And that's pretty easy to do. All you need to do is grab, I'm going to do Control S to save my scene. And when you do Control S, you want to be out of the editing mode. So when you do Control S, you can see it saved it. If you want to make like a little chip, all you need to do is just grab a knife tool, and let's just make one here. So I'm going to go from like here to like halfway in, and then just do something like this, press enter. And let's do one here as well, just like that, and then press enter. And now what I can do is I can grab these faces and do an extrude, and then just extrude down. All right. And then what I could do is grab this face here and pull this down as well. So you can see it creates kind of a cool little effect, like the book has been chipped. We can of course adjust the size of it. Maybe it's a little too far. These could be pushed in a little bit. You can also take these points and maybe make them an angle, which is kind of cool. And if you decide to leave this and go with something like this, you do want to make sure that these faces are you want to make sure that these faces are connected, right? So you don't want to have a face that has too many edges. So you want to make sure you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So you want to also probably do something like this, maybe to this side. So this big face is, you know, has 4 edges. So make sure you don't just leave. And if you wanted to, you can even do something like this. All right, especially if this is a game model, you want to make sure that these faces are not, don't have too many sides, right? All right, so something like this is how I would go about creating kind of a little indentation there. All right, so thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.